Is this the first timber frame house you've ever lived in?
Yeah.
So you only lived in traditional block concrete style home?
Yeah, since I'm from Denmark, I lived in houses that was built a bit different from what you would in Ireland, like probably better insulated, but nothing like this.
Nothing like this. Right, so how does that compare to maybe other homes you've lived in Ireland before, in the past?
I say compared to Ireland, it feels like you actually, especially as a Dane who's used to like well-insulated, well-heated houses.
Yeah.
That was my biggest problem moving to Ireland, was suddenly living in half an igloo, like, you know, half the time, like where you felt on a windy day that the front door was open. Now suddenly it's a much more pleasant environment that I'm used to where I come from, like, and I definitely appreciate that an awful lot.
When you decided to build, why did you go looking at the timber frame industry? Why did you look at building a timber frame initially?
I think it was more a bit actually that brought it up to begin with, because I was getting priced with a few fellas like doing it more traditional wise with the block build. But you were quite set up.
Yeah, I liked the idea of it. I liked the idea of the environmentally friendly part of it. I liked the idea of the speed and the cleanness. And yeah, we haven't been disappointed at all. It's been, like you're asking, how different is it from living in a traditional Irish house? It's light years away. My dad comes up here all the time and, you know, wants to know, have we turned the heat on all summer long, because he's got his heat on down in his house at the bottom of the road. And the noise, there's very little noise in the house, and that was, a lot of people were sort of concerned that maybe with timber frame would you have the same noise insulation that you'd have with the brick house, and I think it's better actually.
Yeah, and like it was, the speed of the build was a huge factor. Like I have never built a house before, and I chose to be project manager on it myself, so there was a lot of reading up on the internet to be done. But the pub I go to, there's a lot of builders down there, and I promised them that we would be in the beginning of July, either the first or second week, and that left us just about 3 months from the first section of the timber frame house was going in until we actually moved into the house.
Wow. And
they were all betting pines that was not going to happen in a billion years. But we did move in the second week of July.
Yeah.
The timber frame came out on, I think it was the 9th of April,
okay.
And we moved in on the 11th of July.
Wow.
Now, of course, there was bits that wasn't completely done, like it was the walk-in wardrobe wasn't done, the utility room still needed fitting out.
Yeah.
But the house was generally finished.
The excitement from the neighbours as well was it was like a community project.
Yeah.
So they were mesmerised at how fast a house could go up. There was 5 months from clearing the site. It was a garden to a house being lived in, which was phenomenal. And then the day that the house came out, everybody was out looking, and they had the neighbour across the road had cups of tea going for everybody. The kids were able to come with their hard hats and their high vis jackets. They thought they were on room to improve.
But also because like when you're building an existing site like this, like it's always going to be a little bit tight.
Yeah. And
it's quite a higher in the state, so people are probably a little bit more touchy and picky like than they would be other places. But the whole build was exceptionally tidy and clean because so much was done with the timber frame construction in itself. Yeah. So after the week putting where you of course had trucks back and forth and the mobile crane parked, it was very, very tidy. Like, you know, like they didn't have an awful lot of trucks coming and going like compared to other sites. Yeah. Not to the same extent at all. Like and that made our neighbors very happy. Like and in the end of the day, like, you know, that's the people you're going to spend a lot of time living around. Like.
Why did you choose the timber frame company? What made us stand out from other timber frame quotes that you might have gotten?
We went to a few building fairs. Yeah. And we looked at the competitors. I don't think we saw anything from your company really, but I found it on the internet. And we went down to have a look down in Wexford, and what struck me was how much more finished the product is. Yeah. Nearly any other solution like wouldn't have finished indoor walls, so they all have to be re-insulated and plated up afterwards. Yeah. And with this, like once the construction was up, there was first off electricity and all the insulation was in the inside walls and all that. Made the whole build so much easier because you didn't spend an awful lot of time moving materials back and forward in the house. Normally, when I've been in building sites, like it looks like a dog's dinner with the materials laying everywhere, and people are moving it back and forward, and you can't locate your tools because it's laying under some insulation somewhere that somebody just moved. We didn't have that here at all. Every weekend we swept the house and tidied it up, so like when the builders came in on a Monday, like it would be a completely blank floor, there wouldn't be as much as a matchbox.
But in terms of why did we pick your company instead of the other one, and we did go to the other places and we went to the other sites, and for me it was going down to Wexford actually, and this is the house that you have down there, and seeing it, and you kind of could touch it and feel it and hear the noise outside and inside, and that for me was definitely part of it. And then when we did sign up, everybody in the crew were super professional, so we never ever had that feeling where, oh God, are we doing the right thing? Everybody was brilliant, and they sat with our plans, and the architect came down and Wayne went through the different plans. It was brilliant. Every single person that we've dealt with has just been fantastic. From the first day that we went down there, we just got that feeling straight away, and it was like, it's such a big project, so you have to trust the team, and for me it was that being able to see the finished product there in the site, and then talking to Ed and the rest of the guys, it was really good.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and everything really happened on time, even in the early stages, like getting the quotes and getting all that. Like we didn't have to sit and wait for days on end to get it. Like it just gave you a nice comfy feeling that if this is the way the start is, hopefully that's the way it's going to be through the actual build as well.
How do you feel the insulation, the external walls and the air tightness has made a difference to how the building performs?
Like it means that even on the stormiest of days, like if you have a right-out hurricane, you won't have any doors smacking up and down, and like you won't have all the flickering going on in the house. Like it's exceptionally cozy, and you don't have any extra heat cost on a windy day. In a normal house, like if you have the same temperature outside and you have a very stormy day, like the cost of heating the house would be phenomenally higher. But here, like it's exactly the same energy consumption. Like there's no difference.
There's a nice atmosphere in like the air in the house feels nicer. It's kind of I don't know how to describe it other than the air. It's the technical term.
It's a good way to control the air.
And we have a fire that's beautiful that we've lit twice because you sit in it and melt and open doors. So that's kind of what air tightness gives you. It's beautiful, but I'd say put candles in the fire rather than actually in the dining room we blow out candles after a little while when you have them, because it's lovely and warm.
And in terms of heating bills, can you describe what sort of cost it is to actually run the house? I've
done it fairly close. We have solar panels, photovoltaic, not the water heating panels. Because everything runs on electricity. We have no boiler because we chose a heat pump system. And the heat pump system is an extra 3,500 euros to install, including the tanks and all, but you get that back in a year. And since we only have an electricity bill, it's hard to say exactly what part of that goes towards the actual heating, but our average cost in a year, like with cooking and televisions, lights, and heating the house, is about 90 euros a month. And then we'll get a little bit back from the solar panels when the year is over, but that's not counted in.
And that's the heat. The house is a constant 21 degrees, 24/7, 365 days of the year. So you've got full heat on for that, and that's the only bill we get.
And in the summer the bills really stand out.
I say if you want to make any comparison, I say like a heating bill in July, electricity bill in July is probably around 35 euros, of which a part of it would be the normal fee you get.
Service charges and taxes and stuff.
In the winter, it's probably about 150 euros on a really cold month. So I say, like in the middle of January, you were probably looking at something like 120 euros if on the coldest of coldest to heat the house for a month. One thing I have to put in is the efficiency of the crew.
Yeah, I was going to say so.
The guys that put up the construction were insanely efficient. And on the date, and everything was handed over exactly when it was supposed to be handed over. Everything they had to come back for, they came on the day they were supposed to come back. They had it up in the time that we were told that it would happen in. And it was the most efficient guys I ever seen on a work site. If only the other, as Vid said, if only the other builders we had in were as efficient, I think we could have built the house maybe in 2 months instead of 3.
They were phenomenal. I have to say, they really were phenomenal. They just worked from the time they came to the time they left. They had really short breaks, and then they were at it again. They were fantastic. But we couldn't recommend the timber frame company highly enough. And when we were going through the process, a big part of it before, as we were starting to find our way and decided we were going to build, and it was a self-build, it was going to be a timber frame company, was to try and find the information, and that's really tough. So anything we can do to help somebody else, we'd be happy to do. But the timber frame company, I couldn't hesitate but recommend them.